got me loving up for you tonight. You got me looking up for suit and tie. You keep my body and my soul alive. Time after time, you got me loving up for you tonight. You got me looking up for suit and tie. You keep my body and my soul alive. That's cool. You touching on my body, that's you. I know they ain't anybody if not you. So just relax, make up pamper, baby you know it's so good. You messing on my mind and that's rude. Your composure days pressure. I guarantee me no go mess up. You know baby I be big flexer. Bouncing on my body like a rodeo. Baby come and feel like you love me Do you 2 for 7, pull it in me Could they sell on me? You know it's real. And I'ma be your body anytime you need. You know the steez, the kind of things we need. Oh baby, no, we gon' fly even if we don't try. Time after time, you got me loving up for you tonight. You got me looking up for you tonight. You keep my body and my soul alive. Time after time, you got me loving up for you tonight. You got me looking up for you tonight. You keep my body and my soul alive. Silver lining, you know I never said the timing for sure. Now you they hide me. And normally I know they do alcohol. My baby no go hide me. I'm with my body and my soul energizing. And now what time is steady ticking. Original, no be regular something. Yeah. Smile for my camera freeze. And anytime you pose, I'ma make you say cheese. Oh no, you know my body got knees. Baby do me anyhow way you please. I dey on top your matter. Because you're very special, girl. Baby, make I treat you better. Oh, baby, pose for the camera, please. Oh, me, adore me. Oh, yeah, you see me and you, more we can speak. As you there with me, I'm one of you, I wanna see. Oh, me, adore me. I don't define it's your matter to do. Baby, make you call, baby, make we they do. No lie. Time after time. You got me loving up for you tonight. You got me looking up for you tonight. You keep my body and my soul alive. Time after time, you got me loving up for you tonight. You got me looking up for you tonight. You keep my body and my soul alive.
Right. Good morning, everyone.
Hello, good morning.
Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Good morning.
Okay, great. Good morning. It's good to see everyone on the call. Okay, good morning, distinguished participants, our partners, and our esteemed stakeholders. So apologies for the about 13 minutes. We just had to give a few minutes rather, for a couple of people to join. So you're all welcome. We warmly welcome you to today's knowledge sharing session, which is themed Unlocking Talents, Unlocking Growth, Strengthening Private Sector Leadership in Disability Inclusive Workplaces. So today's knowledge sharing session is co-hosted by the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, NECA, and the British Council, with the support of the Entrepreneurial Development Initiative, NDIP, as the implementing partner. So you're all welcome. So just a quick overview. Today's session is bringing together private sector leaders, employers, development partners, as well as disabled persons organizations and inclusion advocates to explore how disability inclusion is not only a social responsibility, but more of a strategic business advantage. And we also looking at it as something that unlocks talents, drives innovation, as well as supports sustainable growth in Nigeria and in our workplaces. So for the next hour and about 45 minutes, we'll be sharing insights, we'll be sharing strategies, practical tools, as well as actionable commitments and even experiences of some of our persons. So all of this is aimed at strengthening private sector leadership, as well as building a disability inclusive workplace across Nigeria. So we're encouraging everyone to actively engage, participate, share your reflections, also show your commitment, because there are a couple of things that we'll be sharing and we would love your commitment, and just for everyone to contribute to the general and collective learning that we'll be having here today. So before we proceed, just a few housekeeping rules. So I'll just read this out. All right, so we kindly ask participants to introduce themselves in the chat box. So you can do this by stating your name, your organization, and if you choose, just for data privacy concern, if you do that, it means you are giving consent. So you could put your email and your phone number. That's especially if you did not register through the registration link. So this is to help us strengthen the network and also for follow-up engagement after today, because the conversation doesn't end here today. And then participants with hearing impairments are also encouraged to drop their questions, their comments, and questions and comments in the chat box at any time during the session. We would have session for Q&A. So those who can unmute at that point will be called upon to unmute. But for those who can't, please leave your comments, your questions in the chat box, and this will be taken during the interactive segment. And then finally, this session is going to be recorded for learning purpose. So this is just to ensure that your consent for recording is given. So once again, welcome and thank you for joining us. So Ope, please, if you don't mind, could you please share the agenda so we have a snapshot of what we'll be doing today before I call on our speakers for today? All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so first would receive the welcome remarks from the country director for British Council, that is from Ms. Donna McGowan. And then after that, we would have an opening remark from the Director General of NECA, that is Mr. Adewale Smart Oyerinde. And the next session are going to be quite engaging. So first of all, we'll be looking at the Inclusive by Design project, which is the project being funded by the British Council. And one of the outcomes is the framework, and would have Ms. Busayo Augusto taking us through that session. And then we would have a knowledge spotlight session by Mrs. Olakpeju Ibikwe, the CEO of Sterling One, and she would be talking to us about leveraging disability inclusion to drive business value, and not just about talking, she'll be giving us practical steps for implementation. And then thereafter would have knowledge sharing insights. This would be moderated by the NDIP team, and we would have about 2 people share their experiences with us. Next slide, please. Okay, and then after that, we would also have Mr. Ben Ovio, who is the Director of Business Development at NDIP, give us a snapshot and overview of the Voluntary Workplace Charter, and this is something you should look out for. And then we would also want to get commitments for next steps. And then, of course, the lived experiences we would have here by persons with disability who will be sharing us their lived experiences so that you actually see that this is possible. And then after that, we would have Q&As, collective insights, and then we would have the closing remarks and a group photograph. So thank you. I believe this would be a very interesting ride. So do stay tuned. Thank you. All right, so now we've been moving on to the next step. I would like to introduce for the welcome remarks to formally welcome participants and also to set the tone, rather, I beg your pardon, for the knowledge sharing session. I would like to introduce Ms. Donna McGowan. She is the country director for the British Council, and so she is going to share with us, give us, aside giving us the opening remarks or the welcome remarks, she's going to set the tone for today's engagement. So please, ladies and gentlemen, kindly welcome Ms. Donna McGowan as she gives us her welcome remarks. Over to you, Donna.
Thank you so much, Isabella, and good morning, everyone. And let me add my warm welcome to this knowledge sharing session entitled Unlocking Talent, Unlocking Growth, Strengthening Private Sector Leadership in Disability Inclusive Workplaces. And we're thrilled to be doing this within Deep in NECA. And it's wonderful to have with us the Director General of NECA, CEO of Sterling One Foundation, members from private sector organizations, cluster heads and community members from persons with disabilities groups, the general manager of LASODA with other agency members, as well as representatives from different civil society organizations. And today's session follows up on the in-person policy dialogue, which we held in September, and which focused on driving corporate leadership for disability inclusive workplaces. And now, as then, we're truly honored to convene such a diverse group of leaders and practitioners and advocates and change makers with shared commitment to building a fairer and more inclusive society. And this is part of the Inclusive by Design project, which we're delivering in partnership with NDIP. And it's one of our EDI flagship efforts here in Nigeria. And it combines capacity building, mentorship, advocacy, and micro grant support with the development of a British Council branded disability inclusion framework. And through this initiative, we're working with persons with disabilities, civil society, and the private sector to co-create practical solutions that make inclusion a lived reality. And the British Council has a long history of being a partner in inclusion initiatives. Fostering a fair and inclusive organizational culture is a key objective of our global EDI strategy. And equity, diversity, and inclusion are at the heart of who we are and what we do across all sectors in which we work, as well as the processes, procedures, and support functions which are fundamental to our ways of working. And across all our programs in arts and culture, education, and English language, we're intentional about addressing barriers and creating opportunities for all, with particular attention to disability inclusion, and working with, listening to, and learning from diverse partners as we continue this journey is so important to us. So today's knowledge sharing event provides us with an important opportunity to share the framework on supporting inclusivity in Nigerian workplaces, but more importantly, to hear from different speakers on their lived experiences and practices, which is helping to embed and sustain effective changes. And we all know that true inclusion can't be achieved by awareness alone. It requires courage, collaboration, and commitment to embed change in organizational cultures and business practices. And for this, we need joined up efforts. So I would like to sincerely thank our partners at NDIP for their valuable leadership and expertise, all our distinguished speakers, and every participant for your contribution, commitment, and insight. And on behalf of all of us at the British Council, I wish us all a productive, engaging, and inspiring session so that we can ensure lasting and tangible change in the not too distant future. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. McGowan. Thank you for that, for sharing with us what British Council has been doing, and also for the encouraging welcome remarks. We're glad to have you here. All right. So to set or rather to underscore the importance of private sector in ensuring inclusive workplaces here in Nigeria, and also to reinforce why disability inclusion is not charity or a nice to have, but an imperative for business. I would like to call on the Director General of NECA, that's the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, Mr. Adewale Smart Oyerinde, to give us his opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Isabel, and good morning, colleagues. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. For the interpreter to show the sign, that means I'm being heard. So thank you once again for joining us. Good morning, Donna. It's our pleasure to have you and the whole of the entire British Council, British Council team. I think this collaboration is belated. Sometimes you wonder why it hasn't happened long ago, because NECA remains the voice of business in Nigeria and arguably the private sector leader in Nigeria as it were, and hoping that this collaboration will usher us into more deepened engagement in the years ahead. The NECA's foray into disability inclusive initiatives dates back to many years with our collaboration with Site Savers, with our collaboration with many organizations with some level of focus on disability inclusion. We have played that role of championing the conversation, the private sector, locally, and also within the committee of African employers, where we have Business Africa, the Committee of West African Employers, where we have Federation of West African Employers. And also, we are a very strong player at the International Labour Organization, ILO, with headquarters in Geneva. So our role and our interest in promoting a disability inclusive workplace is not in doubt. And that explains our willingness and our openness to collaborate with the British Council and other partners when this conversation started. So just to welcome and to appreciate the effort that has been put into this program, appreciate the effort of the partners and the interest that has been shown, the sustained interest that has been shown in driving this conversation. Circumstantially, there are constraints, and we believe strongly that those constraints can be addressed and overcome progressively by partners when we remain consistent and we remain focused in driving this conversation. You can continue to be assured of our commitment, our absolute commitment to continue to drive this conversation. To also support every initiative that will lead to the general acceptance by all businesses.
Yeah, I think the network has paused there. If you can hear us, your internet is paused. All right. Okay. So unfortunately, one of the downsides of virtual engagement like this is having internet connection issues. Okay, so if you can hear us, sir, thank you for that's very strong opening remark, and also for re-emphasizing private sector leadership in ensuring inclusive workplaces here in Nigeria. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, so we're moving on, and next on the agenda is the Inclusive by Design project and the framework for supporting inclusivity in Nigeria. So we'll be getting to understand what is the project all about, and also what exactly is this framework that supports inclusivity for Nigerian workplaces. And to take us through this session is Ms. Busayo Augusto. She's the General Counsel and Company Secretary and the EDI lead at the British Council Nigeria. So please, over to you now. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Isabella. Please confirm that you can hear me.
Absolutely, I can hear you.
Fantastic. Good morning, everyone. And thanks again, Isabella, for that warm introduction. It was great listening to the country director of British Council, my boss, speak, as well as the DG of NECA. A shame that we've lost him. Hopefully he rejoins us. So Donna has already spoken quite extensively about the Inclusive by Design project. So I won't be repeating what she's already said. But what I wanted to do essentially was just to briefly shed more light on why the project came into being. So the idea for Inclusive by Design was born out of a really powerful moment at last year's British Council International Women's Day event that was held in commemoration of women with disabilities. And that event was themed Inspiring Inclusion for Africa's Superwomen, and it was held in partnership with an organization called When Women Win. Now, at that event, we heard really inspiring stories of leadership and resilience, but we also heard very difficult truths about the realities of living with disabilities. So at the event, women with disabilities spoke about the exclusion that they had faced, not just in the workplace, but in everyday life, in their communities, in public spaces, even in religious spaces that are meant to offer belonging and dignity. And I think what stood out the most, at least for me, was that several women shared that they actually were not born with disabilities. They had acquired them later in life through illness, through injury, or through other unexpected events. And they spoke about how almost overnight their access changed. So the very same society that they had always participated in suddenly became more difficult. It became quite rigid, and in many respects, it became quite unwelcoming for them. And I think for us at the British Council, the message was quite clear that the barrier was never really around ability or ambition, but it was about design. And I think that moment stayed with us, and it was one of the key reasons why Inclusive by Design was created. As Donna has already mentioned, the project is being funded by the British Council, and it's also delivered in partnership with NDIP, and it officially commenced in March this year. Like she already mentioned, it has 5 components. The first around capacity building and training awareness, the second around the framework that I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about in a few seconds. The third component being the micro grants, the fourth being structured mentorship programs, and the fifth being an impact report, of course, to demonstrate the outcomes and the impact of this great project. So I've been asked to speak about the framework, which I'm going to speak about for the next couple of minutes. What is the framework? Like Donna already said, the framework is essentially a very practical, easy to use guide that organizations can apply to help them support and empower people with disabilities in their respective organizations. And they can use this framework immediately. It doesn't matter where they are on their inclusion journey, whether they're at the start, in the middle, or much further along. It's relevant to all organizations who are committed or who want to become committed to disability inclusion in the workplace. What the framework does is that it brings together existing laws and standards, such as Nigeria's Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act. It brings together relevant court decisions. It brings together international guidance from the United Nations to the ILO and the UNGC, as well as best practices being implemented by organizations. And what it does is that it essentially condenses and translates all of these standards into clear practical actions that can help organizations not just support, but also empower people with disabilities in the workplace. I think what's also important to note is that the framework is stakeholder-led in the sense that it was drafted and shared with various stakeholders, including, of course, people with disabilities for their input and shaping. And it covers several key areas. First, it speaks to what disabilities are, because you can't cure a challenge if you don't understand it. And so it makes a distinction between visible and invisible disabilities, from physical to sensory to intellectual to psychosocial to even chronic health conditions that are considered disabilities. And then it goes on to speak about the business case for inclusion, showing how inclusive practices are not just a nice to have, like Isabella said, but how they unlock talent, how they drive innovation, productivity, how they improve retention, how they strengthen organizational reputation, and how it also helps to manage legal and regulatory risk. The framework also speaks to leadership and governance, and that essentially underscores the importance, right, that the tone at the top plays in driving inclusive practices, as well as the role of policies and the appointment of disability inclusion champions. It also speaks to inclusive employment practices, from recruitment to hiring to onboarding to reasonable accommodation to career development and progress. Thank you so much. I was waiting for that. Thank you. And so that's the cover page of the framework, and that's Donna, our country director, and that's Philomena, a wonderful woman with a visual impairment, and that is a picture that was taken at the event, the policy dialogue event that we held in September. Yeah, so that's a great picture to capture that really poignant moment. Anyways, back to the components of the framework. It also speaks to accessibility and supportive environments for people with disabilities, including not just physical access, but also digital accessibility, as well as flexible work practices. And of course, the role of training and awareness, as well as monitoring and accountability. So what it does is that it provides guidance on how to measure progress, because what doesn't get measured doesn't get done. I think another key aspect of the framework is that it contains a checklist to help organizations self-assess, to assess where they are and where they need to be. And like I said, it is stakeholder-led. So we engaged a wide range of stakeholders within the disability community and outside of the disability community, the private sector, the public sector, just to inform, review, and to validate the framework, which is pretty much ready. So we will share the framework with all participants, and we encourage you to review the framework alongside the charter that Ben is going to speak more about shortly. And I just really want to end with this, right? When organizations design inclusive practices within the organizations, they unlock talent, they improve productivity, and it helps to also strengthen leadership and culture. And more importantly, from a bigger picture standpoint, when societies remove barriers, then what that means is that more people are able to participate fully. And when more people can contribute, economies grow. And so this framework that we put together is not a nice to have. And I'm sure you're going to hear this phrase over and over again. It's a really practical tool that would help strengthen your organization, hopefully strengthen your bottom line, create a healthier society, and also a more resilient economy. So thank you so much for listening. And I'll hand over the session back to Isabella. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, please, at every point we get to use the virtual show of a clap of hand. Let's do that. Thank you so much, Busayo, for that very important and also clear overview into the project, and also the insight you've given us into understanding the framework. And it's good to also understand or know that it is actually stakeholder-led. You did all of the consultation, you've gotten all of the input, and there's also the assessment, the checklist for self-assessment, which is also good. good so that people can know where they currently are. All right, thank you so much. So
You're on mute, Isabella.
oh, how about now? What did you hear me say last?
You need to repeat your last sentence, I guess.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize. Not sure how that happened, but thank you so much. All right, and I was just so thank you once again, Busayo, for that very important insight into the framework. And I believe everyone on this call would be happy to receive it. Okay, so for our next session, so we're already building momentum. For the next session, it's a knowledge spotlight. So we've had we've had Ms. McGowan speak, we've had the DJ NECA, Mr. Oyerinde speak. We've also listened to Ms. Busayo talk about the framework, the project. And we've repeatedly heard that disability inclusion, it's not charity, it's getting talent, it affects bottom line positively, and there are actually reports to actually prove this. But to bring it down to our own local context and see where we can actually implement practically, especially for those who haven't keyed in yet, is a session on leveraging disability inclusion to drive business value, as well as practical steps for implementation. And to take us on this is the CEO, Executive Officer for Sterling One Foundation, and that is Mrs. Olapeju Ibekwe. You're welcome, Ma. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Isabella. Please confirm you can hear me.
I can hear you and we can see your slides.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from across the world. I want to first start by sincerely appreciating the NDIP team for inviting me, and also, of course, appreciate our partners, the British Council and NECA, ably led by Donna McCowan and Mr. Wali. Thank you so much for the amazing leadership at your organizations and for bringing this very vital conversation to the private sector in Nigeria. I will be speaking briefly over the next few minutes on what we are doing, and I will be shedding light on leveraging disability inclusion. Yes, leveraging disability inclusion. Just give me a minute. Let me sort a bit of my technicals. While I mention here also that at Sterling One Foundation, for those that do not know, Sterling One Foundation is a nonprofit organization established by Sterling Bank. And while we were established by Sterling Bank, we have a separate board of trustees. So in this conversation, I will be sharing with us some practical steps that have been executed by the Sterling Financial Holdings also to drive disability inclusion and to benefit from the opportunities that disability inclusion provides for the private sector in Nigeria, and to also see how we have gotten business value from this. And I'm going to be going straight into this presentation. Why is disability inclusion important today? Someone will ask. First is that about 1 billion people across the globe today actually have some form of disability or the other. As a business, we cannot leave money on the table as a private sector. We cannot leave value on the table as the private sector. Our priority is to leverage every opportunity presented to us to see how we can maximize value from these opportunities. And leaving 1 billion people out is definitely a loss if you look at it from that perspective, a loss from the perspective of the private sector or any institution that wants to drive maximum value. Number one. Number two is the fact that, and please excuse me. Secondly, we need to also
Sorry to
understand.
interrupt you, but the slide isn't in presentation mode.
Okay, thank you so much for highlighting that. I believe that has been sorted now, so I'm going to go forward. Thank you. Secondly, if we're going to just use Nigeria as an example, we have over 30% unemployment in the country today. Of course, we know that Africa has the youngest population. So a significant percentage of these 1 billion people are on our continent, are in our country. They can be employed and they can add value to the private sector. We as private sector, if I'm going to be wearing that private sector hat right now, we can no longer afford to overlook the immense talent that is available for us to maximize, to add value to private sector businesses, and of course, value to the bottom line. This is definitely not just about being, giving back to society. No, it is about how you strengthen your own organization and your own systems to drive business value, not just for today, but sustainably. Disability inclusion is very, very far from charity. It is business and it is profitability we are talking about. So there's a business justification for disability inclusion. It is an opportunity. I tell you, it's one of this content I was listening to. Said it is what makes us different that makes us shine. It gives us the opportunity to be able to include others and also maximize business. Just imagine if your business today is able to acquire 1 billion customers within the next 1 week. Imagine what that will do to your business. Imagine if you had 1 billion paying customers today, but you will need to have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them also within your business, or even more within your business, to be able to ensure that you are able to serve that customer base. That is why we say it is inclusive by design. So it gives you competitive advantage. It gives you an opportunity to be head and shoulders above those that are not thinking like that. There is definitely a strong link between an inclusive workplace and increase in performance and increase in your bottom line. When you are inclusive as an organization, you are able to see differently, act differently, leverage a business segment that others are overlooking, and be the first mover in those business spaces. One, it gives you an opportunity for you to innovate. It gives you an opportunity to have higher quality decision making because you have different views and perspectives on the table before such a quality decision is being made. And of course, you get more people to trust your brand. It's excellent for your brand perception, your brand equity, and of course, your brand love. And I think Busayo already alluded to that. And thank you, Busayo, also. We all also know that and we have the environment, social, and governance webinar that we have been a part of for the last 2 years now. And I must also appreciate NECA for being one of our partners for that year-long webinar where we share knowledge on environment, social, and governance principles. Disability inclusion strengthens our social element in ESG alignment. And for the record, ESG is now a compliance conversation. It is no longer about moral suasion or what you do because you like it. It is a compliance and a regulatory commitment. So disability inclusion allows you to be able to align with regulatory compliance conversations, and also helps you to be able to report these metrics and these outcomes, and of course, drive long-term sustainability and resilience for your business. This gives you access to untapped talent pools. There's several benefits, but I'm going to run through them because of our time, this few. It gives you opportunity to better engage your employees, retain excellent talent. It gives you, of course, an expanded customer base. I already alluded to that. Excellent for your corporate reputation, your stakeholder engagement across the different boxes and buckets of stakeholders that you have. Now, what are the barriers that businesses face? Because yes, we must really accept that there are barriers, identify them with a view to getting them out of the way. One, there's limited awareness. There are misconceptions about disability. There's lack of confidence in driving this within different organizations. There's a fear of cost, yes, and complexity. There are inaccessible physical environments and digital environments. There's a lack of practical guidance on implementation, and that's why we really appreciate what British Council and NDIP and NECA they're doing today, and they've started for a while. We know that there are lack of inclusive policies. There's lack of leadership commitment. That is very critical. Leadership must toe the line. And then, of course, lack of data and metrics and an unclear implementation roadmap. Today, we're going to get a framework that would help to solve some of these problems. We need to now go to inclusion. What does it look like? We need to have inclusive hiring and onboarding, accessible offices, tools, and digital. These are very straightforward things that we can start seeing how we can solve for now. Representation in marketing and communications, and then the right partnerships. A few practical entry points I would quickly speak to, and these are things that the financial holding company has done. First, it starts from leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership, and then the right policies to ensure that it is not just hinged on one person. It is institutionalized for every member of staff to align with. That is the right foundation. Clarity. What exactly does disability inclusion mean for my organization? What are the implications? What do we need to do differently in our hiring? What do we need to do differently in our job descriptions? What do we need to do differently even in our physical spaces and in our communication strategy? Building that right foundation is critical, and it has to start from the leadership. The first task is to get leadership buy-in from the board to the executive management of your organization. Get the leadership buy-in. Then you embed this disability inclusion into your HR policies, your diversity and inclusion frameworks, and we have one we can work with now. Your ESG policy, strategies, and implementation. And then it's very important to also have high-level champions that can drive disability inclusion across different stratas and spheres of your organization. If you are an organization that has maybe global reach, you know where to have the focal persons. If you're an organization that has just one office, then you know, depending on the nature of your organization, definitely it can never be one size fits all. So within your structure, within your framework, identify your focal persons that will be the champions. Then number two, your practical entry point number two, which like I mentioned, the organization that is our affiliate organization has done, inclusive recruitment and workplace design. The organization, the physical offices have been designed to be able to accommodate those that probably have some form of disability or the other. The recruitment process has been designed to accommodate those that have some form of disability or the other. You make inclusion operational. It is not just some policy document somewhere. How can it apply in real day-to-day operations? You make inclusion operational, and you can determine how that works for you. You review your recruitment processes for accessibility and elimination of bias. And of course, this ensures this includes ensuring that those that are going to be even in the interview room also have a rich, diverse perspective, not someone that has a prejudice or the other, or just a few people that have such prejudices. Provide reasonable workplace accommodations, ensure physical, digital, and communication accessibility, and then you focus on their abilities, not their disabilities. We also need to be sensitive to their mental health, their perception of themselves, and enhance their confidence. It is about design, not exception. And get the right partnerships. The reason why we're here in this room is because some correct, excellent, wonderful partners have come together. In your organization, identify the right partners. And some of those partners are in this room today. You don't have to try to do this alone. At the financial holding company, that organization also sought the right partners to provide capacity building. There was capacity building at the board level because of this process. There was capacity building at the executive management level. There was capacity building for team heads, such that if for any reason you have a vacancy and the person who is able to fill that role that has the skill set is someone who is disabled, you will know how to manage and supervise such people. So these things, there's need for training, capacity building, technical support. Yes, get the right partners. And this organization, some of them are here. Invest in general staff training and disability awareness. The program in Sterling is called Sterling Embrace, and I'll share a few things about that because of our time. And then you leverage partnerships for expertise, credibility, and impact. The private sector is critical in this conversation on disability inclusion. You have to drive systemic change. Businesses influence supply chains, markets, and communities. You drive inclusive businesses, set industry standards. You shape public policy. You inspire others to act. And we're hoping today, with NECAD, British Council, and NDIP, we can inspire everyone in this room to act. Why? Because it's a shared responsibility across, but we are all responsible. And as I close, these are some of the things that Sterling Financial Holdings has done and is still doing. There has been an embedding of diversity, equity, and inclusion into the leadership and culture initiatives. So it is not just about, like I mentioned, it's not just about one leader or two leaders. It's now part of our culture. And this fosters empathy. Everyone is part of the team, belonging and inclusive leadership across the entire organization. Opportunities have been created for PWDs and promotion of gender balance. We have conversations around the Momship initiative that gets moms into the workplace after they've been kept out of the office for years. And then for PWDs, I have colleagues that I have worked with, and some are still in the financial holdings company that have different kinds of disabilities, from mobility disability to sight, and they are working. And at times it amazes me. I have a colleague who didn't start out blind, but because of some health issue, but sends reports, chats with me on WhatsApp, sends me. It basically is very adding immense value to the organization. So we're focusing on the ability, not the disability. It is possible. drive engagement through GI focus clusters, and there we have the solutions like Sterling Embrace and Sterling Touch. These are unique programs within the organization that address these DEI focus clusters. And then, of course, the CSR initiatives that make them go out. So these people also go out to also support the others. At least I know of the colleague that I mentioned that had a sight issue, supporting Society for the Blind also. And then we have, of course, several conversations and webinars. So the learning does not stop. At different intervals, we also have these conversations so people learn on an ongoing basis. And this is actually ongoing as we speak and will continue. And these are on awareness and advocacy to ensure that people continually learn and know how to include in operations. And these are some of the pictures of different initiatives that have been done by the Sterling Financial Holdings Company with people.
You're muted. I don't know who muted you, but you're muted. Mrs. Ibekwe, you're muted actually. Ope, can you assist us? Not sure what's going on. She's muted. Not sure. Vivian, please confirm. Can you hear her?
I can't hear her.
Okay,
can't
might
hear.
be connectivity issues. Okay. Mrs. Ibekwe, I don't know if you can hear us. Okay, you're muted now. I can see your.
Maybe you can send personal message to her.
Okay. So let's just give a few seconds. I see that the audio is off, so let's just give her a few seconds to get it sorted. Okay, so she's done, I believe. Even though we didn't quite get the closing, but of course we would have questions in time, and I am sure you'd stick around for that. All right, thank you so very much, Mrs. Ibekwe, for that very practical presentation. And I'm happy that you're able to show us what is actually being done. And like you rightly said, some organizations just need to catch up because people are at different phases of their implementation. And we know that there are other organizations like the Sterling Financial Holding who have already gone ahead. And this session is also for those who would like to, know where they are and know how to move from there. And your presentation did exactly just that. So thank you very much. We do appreciate you for that presentation. Okay, so next we would have the introduction. So as you can see, each session is leading into the next. So we've had Mrs. Ibekwe talk to us about practical steps. And remember, one thing she spoke about was leadership involvement. That everything rises and falls with leadership. So now we will be I'm echoing. Not sure.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
I think my network. But I think we got the message, and I was actually largely done with the presentation.
Absolutely.
So I think I was closing out with the call to action on the need for us to start now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much once again. Thank you very much for the presentation. And it was very clear. It was very practical, all the tips that you shared. We really do appreciate you. And
thank you very much.
Yes. So the next session, of course, is going to be building up on some of the things that Mrs. Ibekwe just spoke about. Remember where she talked about leadership involvement being key. She said everything rises and falls with leadership. And then she also spoke about the nature of the organization. You would first have to assess where you are and know how to proceed. So that is exactly what we'll be doing with the next session, which is an introduction into the Voluntary Workplace Charter. So this is something that the NDIP team and the British Council team worked on, and they are presenting to private sector. And I would like for everyone to please, stay open-minded, and let's even see what this workplace charter is all about, and let's see how we can key in. And to take us on that is Mr. Ben Ovio. He's the Director, Business Development at NDIP. You're welcome, and over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Isabella. And let me just stand on existing protocol. Mrs. Alakweju, I think that was a brilliant delivery. I want to really, really appreciate your practicality. You gave a lot of insight into most of what I'm going to be speaking about. I mean, it's obvious that there are quite a lot of organizations dotted across Nigeria that are doing excellent, brilliant, and impactful work when it comes to embedding or when we talk about inclusivity. What you have just demonstrated to us, for me, it gladdens my heart. I go to my bed tonight sleeping peacefully, knowing very well that this is not just a talk show. There are organizations that are doing brilliantly, and it is on that note that we are saying that, yes, there are loads and loads of organizations across the country that are doing brilliant work, all right? So for all of these organizations, some are very high up there, some are just starting out, some are probably just growing. How do we expand that space? How do we bring in more private sector partners? How do we make private sector partners appreciate the fact that embedding disability in workplaces is not a charity? How do we enhance the capacities of the leadership in these private sector organizations? How do we even start telling the story? That is what we're talking about. That is what we are referring to when we say, all right, why don't we even recognize organizations like Stella Warm Foundation? How do we support organizations that are not even, that have not started out at the moment? Where do they even begin from? And on an annual basis, how is it possible for us to come together? Maybe that is an initiative that NECA will kick off and say, all right, can we start a process whereby on an annual basis, we gather together in a room and we are saying, well done, Sterling One Foundation. Well done for what you have done. Well done to Sterling Bank Financial Holdings for what you've done. And how do we measure it? How do we track it? What tool can we use? That is where the framework comes in. Within that framework, there are valuable tools. For instance, I was going to sit back and say, all right, so we're all here talking. Let's not be too rhetorical. Cast your mind back to your various organizations. Check out, how is it accessing to your office? How is it like? Can people on wheelchair gain access? Even when you gain access into your office, for instance, what about the toilet facilities that you've got? Are they disabled friendly? For people who are hearing impaired, if they get into your office, are there hearing loops? There are basic things. We're not asking for people to put some cutting edge technology, but we're saying of very basic stuff. I mean, I was speaking to a friend of mine recently and he said, oh, Ben, between a bungalow and a duplex, what would you build? I said, well, I think I'll build a bungalow. He said, why? I said, because I'm thinking about old age. For now, I'm hale and hearty. What about when I get old? How am I going to be climbing the stairs up? So these are things that we're talking about. We're talking about intentionality. We're talking about how organizations can actually wake up and say, you know what, let's start our journey of inclusivity from day one. And how do we start that journey? The only way we can start that journey is to have a tool, a measurable tool that all private sector stakeholders, inclusive of the government, can also use. We're going to be hearing some stories from my colleagues very shortly on how they are doing this, their experience about how the system has sort of made them not function properly within the ecosystem where they find themselves, whether it be at work or at school. We're going to look at some of that. So the whole idea of the charter is very simple. I don't want to go into sharing my slide because most of what I wanted to share, Mrs. Sibekwe has really highlighted all of that. But the key point here is the fact that inclusivity should be intentional. And I'm particularly impressed with what Mrs. Sibekwe said about starting off with leadership and ensuring that disability is also part of the social factor. So when you look at ESG governance framework, it is not just a tick box exercise. It is no longer a voluntary requirement. It is now becoming a regulatory requirement globally. I'm sure if Nigeria has not signed up, Nigeria will surely get to a point where it becomes a regulatory requirement where it is mandatory. So what we're saying in all of this is just look at the whole charter. And the charter is aimed at supporting the learning journey of all organizations that are desirous of moving, taking the discourse of embedding disability into their organization, into their organizational work plan and practices. And just to support what Ms. Ibekwe spoke earlier on, this is a business case. It is not a charity. From the statistics we've gathered, there are about 2.5 million persons in Lagos alone who are disabled. Now, think about that. If these persons are not supported to be economic actors in the society through workplace support to get them into employment, the question is, that is valuable income or valuable resource that is lost. Valuable resource lost to organization, but more importantly, the talent that is also locked in because these members of the society have been disenfranchised. So I'm just saying that let us cast our mind back. Let us look at what is happening around us. Let us be intentional in everything we do, from recruitment to infrastructure within offices, to making your office friendly for disabled persons. in whatever we want to do, let us be intentional. And like the point I keep making, you can be able today, tomorrow you can be disabled. It is very easy. It is very easy for us to see that the transition is quite smooth. It's quite a smooth transition, that today you are an able person. Tomorrow you are indeed a disabled person, maybe by accident or illness or whatever. So let us think about the fact that we are not here to just do the normal rhetorics that is typical of workshops. Let us go back to our various organizations, see what we can do a deep dive into what's going on within our systems and see how we can make a change. These changes are not very expensive. They're not expensive changes. These are basic changes that will not cost an arm and a leg, but if we are intentional, we can be rest assured that we will make a difference in the lives of people, a difference to our bottom line, like Ms. Sibekwe spoke earlier on, but more importantly, local economic development. If we start being intentional and support 2.5 million Lagosians who have some form of disability or the other, think about how that is going to impact on the bottom line. So that is the message. And the whole charter is voluntary. And we keep emphasizing the word voluntary. Voluntary because it is a peer learning framework, a learning framework where people would say, all right, Sterling One, what are you doing right? How can we learn from you? Or maybe there are some improvement that Sterling Bank or Sterling One Foundation would like to take on that other organizations are not doing right. These are all of that are embedded within the what we call the charter. So this is voluntary. We're hoping that this will be adopted. We're going to share a copy of this framework with all stakeholders who are in this meeting today and others who are not even here. But overall, we want this to be a sustainable strategy on how we can keep this conversation going. We don't want the conversation to end here, neither do we want this program to end here. And that's why we really want to appreciate the British Council for this transformational leadership in bringing this discourse to the fore. And on that note, I'd like to say thank you so much to the team at NECA for providing this knowledge sharing platform. We're going to continue the conversation. I'm sure that the British Council will be delighted for us to extend this conversation into the wider membership of NECA. If it becomes an annual event, why not? If not, we're going to give it a go. So thank you so much for your attention. We're here to continue the discourse. Well, we know that there are some burning questions that you'll be sharing with us. Well, we are here to take them on. So I'll stop back for now. I'll stop for now and look forward to your questions and comments, especially on how we can take on some of the very brilliant, bold initiative that Mrs. Sibekwe has shared much earlier. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you very much for that insight into the workplace charter. And so this engagement today is just more of a starting. I know we've had series of activities like Busayo had mentioned earlier. There was the policy dialogue, which brought about the framework. Then now there's the charter. So the conversation is only just getting started, and all of this will be shared as we move along, especially all of these tools and documents that have been developed in the course of the project. So thank you very much, Mr. Ben, for that. And I know people would like to see what the charter is and also how they can take it back to their organizations and get commitment. Okay, so we are actually ensuring that we stick to time. So we are moving to the next session where we'll be listening to lived experiences of persons with disability. Now, we've spoken about how disability gives access to talent, untapped talents. We talked about affecting your bottom line positively and economic development and all of that. So we'll be listening to them firsthand to hear their experiences and also see how they are thriving based on skills, based on their abilities and not their disabilities. So we have three experience sharing. One is from Philomena Okweze, the other is from Maxwell O'Hare, and the other from Lukman Abolarinwa. I believe they are on the call and we will just take you in that order. So first we'll go with Philomena, then Maxwell, and then Lukman. Then once we are done, we will then do a collective reflection and Q&A before we move to the closing segment. Thank you so much. So over to you, Philomena.
Hello, everyone. Please, I will appreciate if you can confirm that you can hear me very well.
Absolutely. I can hear you and I believe others can as well.
All right, thank you, Ma. Please permit me to stand on the already existing protocols. Like she mentioned, my name is Ifeanyi Philomena Ukweze, and I am EDI champion from NDIP. I'm also a person with disability with so much lived experiences. And it is, to some extent, quite unfortunate that time, I'm sure, will not permit me to share a lot of experiences I've had myself. By the grace of God, I wasn't born blind, but today I am a totally blind person. Yes. Why I use that term is because some persons, when you just say visually impaired, they don't understand. But now I'm making it clear to say that I am a blind person, so widely known as visually impaired. And I was not born that way. I acquired the certificate into blindness on the 5th September 2007. Yes, 5th September 2007. And that very day, I woke up a sighted person. But before this time, I was already a blind person. And then when I went to hospital, they confirmed that it was a glaucoma. I just have to lay that foundation so that we will understand this case that we are talking about, disability, that is not anyone's choice. It's not something you wake up and say, let me just register. I want to be a disabled person. Or it's not something you will say, I know it's not in my lineage. It's for a particular color of persons. It's for a particular region or tribe. It's something that nobody predicts. It's something that nobody welcomes or nobody is waiting for it to happen. Having said that, I am a lady with great vision, and I always say that my mantra is that out of is not out of vision. Yes, I don't have physical sight, but I have the vision. And today, I would like to go through the route of education, our educational system here. Let me just share the experiences I've had there, because I believe that education is one common thing that bring everyone to the mainstream in the society. And even those that have their private sectors, if in the level of when they are going to school, if they're able to get it right, and if the school system in Nigeria get it right, even the students who are not persons with disability, they will know, oh, when I was in school, there were people like this. This is how they were treated. And then they thrived well because they were treated well. Because one issue here is that often people, both the private sectors and the public sector, are trying to, how to bring us to that state of adapting to barriers. But no, the right thing is to remove those barriers that hinders us from thriving, from being productive. And then, having said that, let me go to the experiences I've had. First of all, I did my undergraduate. By the grace of God, I've completed my second degree, and I'm heading towards the third degree. And then there have been a number of challenges. One of it is inaccessibility of materials. You know, you go to class, you register course or the courses for you to study for a particular semester, and the lecturers, which the school will not deny, they are not aware, because they will tell you, they will state it, don't tell anybody to buy this book. But at the end of the whole thing, all of them are doing the same thing. They will be expecting myself, who cannot see even glimpse of light, to buy hard copy textbook. And if you didn't buy it, that is your text. They would not mark. So we're compelled to buy it. I bought a number of them. They don't have soft copy of these materials, and they will tell you to buy the materials. And we bought it because we had no choice, because without buying it, you won't be able to make your mark. And that doesn't mean that you are not going to write the text, but they encrypt the mark of the text with the textbook buying. When the textbook is not in the Braille format that I can access as a blind, and is not in soft copy like Microsoft copy or PDF that I can access with my system, but we had to buy it. Now, one of the experience, this was during my undergraduate studies, one of the lecturers gave us his numerous conference. Okay, let me say.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're actually timed, so you have 3 minutes left.
Okay, don't worry, I'll round up in that 3 minutes. So
Thank
give
you.
us conference papers to go and review. I asked him, how do I review this, sir? And because whenever I speak, I know I can speak, but there are people who cannot speak actually. And what we are looking at is giving voice to one and all, because it's not all about fear of force that can actually speak. And when I fought with him, he was able to give me that soft copy. Now, recently in one of the university, do you know people that had late payments, which persons with disability are there, were not allowed to write exam because they had late payments? And that was because they didn't have money to pay earlier. They paid a day after the registration was closed, and they refused even collecting late registration fee from them. Automatically, one of them have carry extra year now, not because he failed the exam, a blind person, but because they say he paid late. Another thing, recently in one of the universities, they just threw all the students away, and practically blind students were sleeping in an open hall where there was no protection. Even female students with visual impairment were sleeping there because they say they want to renovate. And even till now that I'm speaking, they've not started any renovation process. And when we approached them that we are not seeing, they never give listening ear to us. Then one of the workplace, I remember an advertisement was put up by a private sector for teaching. And I picked up the number, I called, I knew I am very qualified for that teaching. And I know I would have taught better than some persons who are seeing there, because everything I'm going to teach, I will learn it and it will be on my head. Then when I called, immediately I mentioned that I'm a person with disability, that I'm a visually impaired person. Then the person handling the employment told me, I'll get back to you. In fact, there's no space again. But someone that later called after my call came in, got the job. But because I'm not seeing, they threw me away. Then one of the exams I was writing, they were supposed to provide my questions in a soft copy where I can access it. They didn't provide for them to read exams for me. Others have started writing. But immediately 6 minutes after others submitted paper, the lecturer told me, if you don't submit, I will never collect that paper again. Then in the classes, you will see that they are teaching others, writing things in the board, and some of them, they will not explain. And there are visual impaired persons in the classes, and they will expect us to measure the same thing. So when you come to the school, you find out that the place of training as in to a very good extent where the whole thing are being gotten wrong. And then when the person graduates, even when the person have established a company to hire people, for the fact the school didn't get it right, it's difficult for the person to also get it right. But I'm so happy when the other presenter before Mr. Ben, both of them, both she and Mr. Ben, they hammered that the issue of disability is no longer a charity thing, because they are seeing it as though they are doing us charity. Sometimes even some persons that were employed, they will just kill some of the persons with disability. They will take one or
Hi, Philomena. I think we've lost you. Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that. It was almost time up as well.
then the next thing.
Hello,
the
Philomena.
one,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay, so we're actually running out of time. So if you can just conclude in the next 1
All
minute so we can move to the next person. And I believe your connection is poor as well. Okay, I'm sorry, but since it's
let me conclude with this last radio station for an internship without being given a kobo for third, and till I left, they refused giving me opportunity to be productive. And that makes us to look as though we are liability instead of assets. But today, I'm concluding by saying that you can only identify who is disabled and who is not disabled, even among persons with disability and so-called able persons, by assigning tasks and finding out who delivers well and who fails to deliver. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philomena, for that shared experience. And I believe that especially because we have businesses, HR leaders and other kind of business leaders on the call, they have a better insight into what you're saying, and all of this can inform the way they design their processes. Thank you so much. So very quickly, we'll be moving to Maxwell O'Hare. Is Mr. O'Hare here?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, please.
Please kindly identify if you can hear me, please.
Yes, I can hear you, please. Kindly go ahead.
All right. Okay. Good afternoon once again. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my lived experience as a person with a disability, specifically as an amputee, and also as a professional navigating different workplace environments. My story is not just about disability. It is about opportunity, inclusion, and what becomes possible when workplaces choose to unlock talent rather than focus on limitation. Yes, my journey and reality is this. Living with a disability is not a single moment or a condition. It is a continuous experience shaped by environment, attitude, and systems. As an amputee, my daily life includes managing mobility, health needs, and accessibility challenges that many people never have to consider. These realities do not reduce my skills, intelligence, or commitment to work. However, they often influence how workplaces perceive my ability to contribute. Over time, I have learned that the real barrier are not my physical condition, but inaccessible structures, rigid work policies, and assumptions about productivity and capability. Before now, I have faced several challenges that are common for many persons with disability. Physical accessibility barriers, including work office layouts and transportation challenges that makes daily commuting difficult or exhausting. Even on my way this afternoon down to where I am now, I overheard someone, a visually impaired person, complain over the radio on how he was badly treated when he wanted to come down from a taxi. Yeah, these are the challenges that we face every day of our life. Now, rigid work arrangement is another challenge where presence in the office is valued more than actual output or performance. Low expectations or doubts, where my disabilities overshadowed my qualification, experience, and results. Now, these challenges are not unique to me. They, they reflect systemic gaps in how workplaces include or exclude persons with disability. I would like to share a real and positive example from my recent work experience with NDIP. NDIP demonstrated that disability inclusion is not theoretical, it is practical and achievable. Without questioning my competence or commitment, they offered me the opportunity to work from home, removing the requirement to be physically present in the office. This decision was not framed as charity, sympathetic, or special treatment, but as a reasonable accommodation that enabled me to perform at my best. The result was powerful. I delivered my responsibilities effectively. I remained productive and accountable. I felt trusted, respected, and valued. And they proved that when organizations focus on results rather than rigid systems, persons with disabilities can thrive and contribute meaningfully. The support I received was simple, yet transformative. Flexibility in work arrangements, understanding leadership, or a focus on skills and outcome rather than physical presence. This kind of support does not only benefit persons with disability, it strengthens teams, improves morale, and increases overall productivity. The theme of this program is unlocking talent, unlocking growth, strengthening private sector leadership in disability, inclusive workplaces. Speaks directly to my experience. My story is evidence that talent exists everywhere, including among persons with disabilities. Inclusion is not a cost, but an investment. Growth happens when organizations remove barriers and allow people to work in ways that suit their abilities. When the private sector leads in disabilities inclusion, it sends a strong message that competence matters more than conformity, and that diversity drives innovations and growth. I am talking here today in this digital room, not just because as an amputee, but as a professional with skills, lived experience, and the desire to contribute. My disability is part of my identity, but it does not define my limits. As so, many workplace environments do. My hope is that more organizations will follow examples like NDIP, recognizing that inclusions unlock potential, and potential unlocks growth. Thank you for listening to me and for committing to building workplaces where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Because of time, I have to stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maxwell. Thank you very much for that. I like that you mentioned there's the desire to contribute. Thank you very much. Okay, so very quickly would also call on Mr. Lukman Abolariwa. Lukman, are you on the call?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, you're welcome.
I'm I'm Lukman Abolariwa Salami. I'm a person with a visual impairment, and to God be the glory, I'm a legal practitioner, a special educationist, and a disability advisor. So my experience getting to the level I am today is not different from the previous speakers. Inaccessibility of some social services, including education and the environment in general. But against all odds, well, I'm glad to tell you that I'm what I am today, and I earn a living as a professional. But limiting my experience to the theme of today and to what is being discussed here, I'm more than convinced that, well, we might have not gotten to where we expected, but we're having progresses, most especially from the testimony from Sterling Financial Holdings. Yes, I'm aware happening in that particular sector, and truly they are indeed inclusive in their employment. And generally speaking, the problem we have as persons with disability in terms of gaining employment is about perception. And the only thing that can cure this is intentionality. And that is what we're having here. The moment the society at large, whether private or public sectors, are intentional about including persons with disability in the working space, well, I think it will be better for all of us, not only persons with disability. And I could remember in those days, as a law student or law graduate, people or reputable firms, they always scout for best brains, those that are graduating from the school then. You know, that's why you have, I'm pursuing a 2-1, I want to get a first class, 2-1 law school, 2-1 university, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I tried my best, and I got my application submitted to some reputable law chambers. I will particularly about a very notable one. I was invited for an interview. I got there. They were still expecting, and they said, where is the man there's the boy that said we should come for an interview now? Because they never expected that a blind person would be the one that will appear. And I just heard them whispering my name. I said, sorry, sir, I'm here. Oh, I went in and I had a one-on-one discussion with one of the partners there. Well, he got convinced and said that, well, you cannot compare the university space with the working environment. You have a lot of people that will support you. If there's no like this and that, what he said there, he will get across to me. And that was the end of that application. But thankfully, well, I got employed in another place, and we had the opportunity of meeting, not on the staircase this time, but in court. And to God be the glory, I was able to show that, well, there's ability in disability. And today, me and that particular person, we are best of friends and best of colleagues. So that's why I said it's about perception. We are always judged by way they see us. They see disability first before that ability. But to some employers, they are very deep thinking and very tactical and very rational. I could remember there is a particular chamber I started my practicing experiences. And there I met one senior lawyer who is on crutches. I now went to one of the partners in that and said, but I'm very, yes, I must appreciate that in this office, you have somebody on crutches and you are still willing to accommodate me. So, see, come, we are not doing that woman a favor. You see, I know what I'm doing. What people are seeing in her that they are rejecting is what I'm seeing that made me to employ her. And I said, ma, what? She said, you see, when others are running around to chase private briefs, the woman, once she gets to the office,
This internet is out for some of us today.
I know.
Okay, welcome back. We can hear you now.
So can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for a bit, but please go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I don't know where I stopped.
About where the boss was responding to the lady.
Okay, the boss was nice. Okay, well, what really happened was what the disability that people are seeing that they don't want to employ. That's what I'm seeing that made me to employ her. That if others that are non-disabled, when they do part of our job, try to click on another claim somewhere just to cut short, the woman will always be in the office doing her job. That the productivity of that particular woman who is on crutches will be higher than other lawyers that are in the office, and that is, to her, is an advantage to her own office. And this is the reality of people that are not ready to employ persons with disability, because we always want to convince you, even beyond every other, that we can do as much as others can do better than others can do. So as you not see that disability, you want to erode that disability in you. So by the time you are seeing ability, you are not even seeing that disability again. That is what people are missing. You are missing potential committed workers who will do your job better than the way you are even doing it. So what I know a lot has been said. I don't want to keep on repeating the challenges here. But just to appreciate the successes and just encourage we'll just encourage employers of labor to do more. And in building an accessible workplace, where in most times, or at times too, it's not a must that you provide everything that would require that particular person to work with. The person you are employing can even help you to build an accessible workplace that will meet the demands of other persons with disability. And bet me, believe me, you will not regret having a person with disability working in your organization. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. We are so happy to hear all of these shared experiences, and you can see something that is recurring. First of all is, recognizing that the disability does not in any way affect their skills or affect their output. So the idea for businesses is to look at the skills and not the physical, whatever it is you're seeing or you think you're imagining. And then I think it was Mr. Maxwell who mentioned also focusing on flexibility in workplaces, and I remember that Mrs. Ibekwe said some of these things are not even expensive. It just starts with the design and being intentional, because these are people that have a desire to contribute and they should be acknowledged as well. So thank you very much for that. Now we would quickly go into, it's an open session. We can have reflections, question and answers, and please direct your question to any of the speakers who have spoken, and they will happily respond. So I'll hand over to the NDIP team now to coordinate this part of the segment, and then after that we close and we'll share next steps. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isabella. That was well anchored, and the insights shared by Philomena, Maxwell, and Lukman has been really, really humbling, to say the least. I mean, it shows that there is hope. I strongly believe that the journey has started, and with the support of private sector partners today, we can indeed unlock talent as well as unlocking growth in the private sector if and only if we are able to integrate persons with disability. And I particularly picked out the point about intentionality, as well as the fact that disability, when done right, defines the whole narrative of productivity. So it is not, we shouldn't be focusing on disability, but rather we should be focusing on ability. So enough of the talking. You've heard quite a lot. Now the floor is going to be open. Let's hear some insights from all of you in the audience today. If you have insights to share, if you have comments to make on what you've heard so far today, please feel free, use the raised hand button, and we will call on you to speak. All right, thank you. So we welcome comments. Are there comments or no questions? If you have questions to ask, please feel free as well to ask. But we do know that you have valuable contributions to make in the discussion of today. We don't have a monopoly of knowledge. Like we said, it's a learning journey for all of us. Even for those of us in NDIP, it's a learning journey that we've been on over the last 2 decades and a half counting. And so, yes, I can see a hand up. Says, is it Evangelist Michael? Am I right?
No, sir, that was a legacy hand, sir.
Oh, that was a legacy hand. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Yes, so like I said, we are still on a learning journey. We're still adapting our systems to make sure that it's friendly. We're also intentional with our programs as well, to make sure that when we run our programs, we are also intentional in embedding disability, especially females. I recall one of the presidents of a disabled persons organization said somewhere in one of the states in the Southeast, he said, when you hear the word poverty, it's associated with disability. And he doesn't want to hear that narrative. He wants to see that there is a change in that narrative. And the only way we can do that is to support the capacity of persons with disability to know that here there's indeed ability. Yes, Chris, I can see Chris Agbo. Yes, Chris, you can unmute and ask your question or your comment.
Hello.
Is that
okay,
Chris?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Yes,
Chris.
Okay, my name is Comrade Chris Agbo from, I'm the Executive Director of the Qualitative Magazine. It's a disability-focused magazine.
Oh, really? Interesting. Go ahead. Yeah.
I have, first of all, I have to appreciate British Council for this initiative and the NACA. We've been hearing about NACA. I think I heard about them first when they collaborated with Sight Savers. So, but I have a few questions because most of the things I've been hearing was basically on recruitment of persons with disabilities. So I want to also ask, apart from the recruitment of persons with disabilities, those who, persons with disabilities who are interested in being self-employed, is there anything that your organization have in place to actually encourage such people? So because it is obvious that even as much as we try to advocate for persons with disabilities to be employed, a good number of persons with disabilities will still find it difficult to get employed. We also encourage most of our people to also look at being self-employed, to create something on their own, but they need enabling environment. So on that, know if there is anything, any aspect of this project that is channeled towards encouraging such people who would want to create something on their own, which is one of the areas that a lot of our people will find succor at the end of the day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. So I'm going to answer this question in two parts. One, from the perspective of being a partner to the British Council, and maybe Busayo or any member of the British Council team would like to respond. And then I would like to respond to as an organization. So as an organization, NDP is an enterprise development group. Our core focus really is a thematic focus is on enterprise development, because we believe that enterprises are sustainable solutions to poverty reduction. Over the last 25 years, we've supported loads of disabled persons across the Southeast and the South region, as well as the Northwest and Northeast and North Central region on enterprise development. Interestingly, Chris, for you to know, the British Council is currently funding a program called the Youth Sustainable Enterprise Challenge Program. And that program is essentially focused on two pathways: one, employability, as well as entrepreneurship, which is a self-employment pathway, which means that they can create jobs. And from our program, about 13% of participants in that program are persons with disability, whether it be they visually impaired or physically challenged or hearing impaired or any other form of disability, albinos. We accept all of them. So we'll be running, that program is a nationwide program taking place in Abuja, in Lagos, in Ogun, in Kano, Jigawa, Enugu, Rivers, Imo, and it's going to be expanded in the coming year, subject to funding. But for us as an organization, we welcome disabled persons who are interested in setting up businesses. You should have come to our last program in Imo State to see disabled persons pitching seriously for grant funding. Nobody undermined them. They pitched and they won grant funds to set up their businesses. And so we are very, very open. We are very open to disabled persons. We believe in equality and we believe in a level playing field for all persons. We don't see disability, we see ability, because it is not, in fact, for us, we don't even look at them as disabled person because they compete as much as every other group. So that is the way, just to reassure you. And but we also provide access to finance and also access to business development services. There are loads of opportunities out there. Like the Hindis will say, there's water everywhere, but there's no water to drink. There are loads of opportunities out there. Part of what we do in our hub, in our business hub, is to signpost interested participants, including interested beneficiaries, including persons with disabilities, to initiatives that are dotted across the country. All right. So we know that because of their limitations, some of them may not have access to some of these programs. So we'll put them on our platform, on our virtual platform, where we give them that opportunity. So if you know of any disabled person who is also interested in becoming self-employed, yeah, by all means, you can signpost them to us. I know you're in Abuja. In fact, Abuja is one of the centers where the Youth Sustainable Enterprise Challenge Program is currently being implemented. So before we call on the next person, I don't know if any member of the British Council team or NECA would want to share any insight very quickly.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben. I think you've spoken very well. The British Council understands the importance of SMEs. SMEs are the backbone of any economy, and they contribute to, I think, over 84% or so of employment in Nigeria. So that's a great priority for us. In as much as we work in the formal education space, we also have what we call non-formal education programs, which are essentially geared towards supporting entrepreneurship. And Ben spoke about one of such programs, which is the Youth Connect Sustainable Enterprise Challenge, that has been implemented in various states across Nigeria and that has delivered very clear outcomes for people living with disabilities. We also have other programs that have been implemented around inclusive digital participation to advance the skills. We know the importance of fintech. We know that a lot of the SMEs in Nigeria today and even globally, right, have leveraged technology to drive their solutions. So we have a lot of programs that are also targeted at supporting entrepreneurship through enhancing digital participation of Nigerians, as well as focusing on marginalized groups. We also have what we call something called a creative hustle, which is essentially an opportunity for entrepreneurs to showcase and sell their product. So we have that quite frequently every year. We open our space up to entrepreneurs and we tell them to come in and to showcase and sell their products. And we also help to market those events so that as many people as possible can attend those events. Those are just a few of the programs that we implement that are targeted towards supporting entrepreneurs here in Nigeria with the core focus on people with disabilities. We also have a lot of inclusive market access events and much more, lots of showcase events. You know, we had one called Deaf Can Dance. We've had a lot of other vendor-related events that help promote entrepreneurs with disabilities in the art sector, and the fashion sector, and the design sector, and much more. Now, in relation to this specific project, what we can say is this is the first phase of the project. It's going to be extended, so watch out. There definitely will be more of a focus on entrepreneurs, and we'll be in touch to go into more detail around the expansion of this Inclusive by Design project. But this is the first phase, and we're going to continue this journey. So please stay in touch with us so that we can not only update you on all the programs that we already do that help support entrepreneurs with disabilities, but also the ones that are yet to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Busayo, for that additional insight. It's very much appreciated. Yes, I recognize Emmanuel Oluchi's question. We'll come to that very shortly. But in the meantime, let's start with Helen Wanchuku. And after Helen Wanchuku, we can take Toyin Oloniteru's question together. So Helen, yes, you go first, then followed by Toyin Oloniteru. Then we can also take the question of Emanuela Oluchi all at the same time. Yes. Okay.
I hope you can hear me, please.
Loud and clear, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Standing on already existing protocol, first of all, commend the program and all the initiatives. Thank you so much. But it's just a question, or probably an inquiry of how, yes, these initiatives, grants, entrepreneurship, and all is on. How do you intend to, or how have you been able to maintain continuity in these various states? I'm actually calling from Enugu State, an academic doctor with Blank Quick Foundation. How do you intend to, or how have you been able to maintain continuity? Because you can come in with all these initiatives, do these grants, empower them, and then what next? How do they work? Do they have coaches? Do they have supervisors who are able to ensure that they are able to carry out what they've come? You mentioned pitches. If they have been mobilized, how has it been monitored to ensure that they succeed in all this? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Helen. Yes, we'll take your question. Can we have Toyin Oloniteru's question as well? Or comment? Hello, Toyin, are you there? Okay, while we're still waiting for Toyin's question, let me just respond to Emanuela's question very quickly. Emanuela, thank you so much. Sorry, I didn't quite get the name of the organization. You said in Enugu.
I am here. I thought that.
Oh,
Blanquet Foundation. Blanquet Foundation.
Blanquet. Can you put your did you put your details on the
Pardon?
platform? Yes,
Okay,
your details.
I will.
Your name and the phone number, and as well as email address as well on the chat. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, but we'll respond to your question shortly. Yeah. All right, Tony, please go ahead. Hello, Tony. Have we lost you? Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, Tony, go ahead. Yes.
Thank you very much. This is a very good people here. I just want to make a contribution and also like a
I think your network is a bit epileptic, Tony. Okay. All right. Maybe we'll try and reconnect with Tony. But just to respond to Helen's question, Helen, so like I mentioned,
why don't we change fraud, disabled or whatever? So we are biased to say physically challenged people, to classify them under that group and begin to discriminate against them. Take for example, somebody that you said is physically challenged can be mentally able and can code remotely. For example, there are a lot of international jobs now from US, from everywhere over the world, whereas if you are in a and you are asked to code Solidity programming, whether you have seen Solidity programming for smart contract on a blockchain, for blockchain, yes or no, you are in the village, you are coding, and there's internet there, you are doing the job. They don't want to see your physical face. So within Nigeria here, from physically challenged people to digitally disabled people, so each person, so that whether because a lot of jobs now you can use nature that say disabled can command the entire armed forces. Using robotics, command your malaria vehicle, this set of observation how do we need to work on that for that becomes simplest. Whether the person wants to be an entrepreneur or the person wants to work at work or whatever. After all, you can be a marketer, digital marketer, and you have physically going to an office. So what is the importance of saying physically challenged that will not create problem for society and for everybody? So to me, physically challenged will not disable. This wrong. Because somebody is disabled. Somebody may not, somebody use mouth to draw. Is he disabled? Or doesn't have eye and is singing? Is he disabled? Which
all right, Tony, I think your point is very valuable. Maybe you can share your thoughts with us in writing, and we'll appreciate that if you can put them on the platform. But the point you made is very clear. I mean, we live in a global, the world is a global village now, and there are remote job opportunities across the world. So maybe part of what we need to be looking at in terms of employability for persons with disability as well is to see how they can be acquainted with a platform that actually does recruitment for local and international jobs, jobs that does not require in-person visit to the office. So these are all opportunities. Ultimately, we are still in the theme of unlocking talent that will result in unlocking growth if only we can strengthen private sector leadership in ensuring that disabled persons are not just liabilities, but they are valuable assets. Now to your question, Helen, valuable question, very good question. So again, I'm going to be responding on behalf of NDIP and as well as the British Council on the Youth Sustainable Enterprise Challenge Program, the question you asked. So we embed sustainability in all programs. So, I mean, in terms of intentionality, in terms of the design, sustainability is embedded into all of the programs we run. So for the Youth Sustainable Enterprise Challenge Program, we have a post program. So the first phase of the program is actually the training component. After the training, there is mentorship, and that mentorship is a post-training mentorship for the first 3 months. And once that 3 months elapses, NDIP as an organization still has responsibility. We take it upon ourselves, even if funding has stopped, we still work with the people that we have, the participants we have trained. All right, we don't give up on them. They are still in our database. So just like the program designed for the Youth Sustainable Enterprise Program has a core component of sustainability, for us as NDIP, we are also committed to supporting these enterprises as well, because I forgot to mention to you that our vision as an organization is to develop 10,000 sustainable enterprises that are capable of generating 30,000 jobs in Nigeria by the year 2030. And we're passionate about that. So we don't do hit and runs like other groups do. We finish a program, that is not the end. They become part of our family because we believe that enterprises are sustainable solutions to poverty reduction. The more young persons that are empowered in their businesses, post-training support provided to them, the better for the society in general. So just to allay your fears, we are not hit and go. We don't run hit and go projects. We have is very strong connection with our beneficiaries. As we speak to you in Enugu, we have very strong ties with 100, and so far we've trained. So the first cohort was 60, the next cohort was 80. So that's 140 young persons that we're still in touch with in Enugu, and their businesses are thriving. The monitoring is supported from two fronts. The British Council has their own monitoring and evaluation to ensure sustainability. King's Trust International, who is also the technical partner for the project, is also providing the tools for us to continue the monitoring. So we are very much on track, and we're very conscious of the importance of sustainability in these interventions. Okay, but we can keep in touch with you. We have a host of mentors. We have technical specialist mentors that, who are specialized business development service providers who are based in Enugu that are working with us. And our operation too is also still on ground in Enugu, so we can always keep in touch, Helen Wachuku. To the question of, I think that is, somebody asked a question here about trying to see. All right, I think I've responded to that question. And on other questions around where the location of our office is, yeah, sure. We're going to get your database. We're going to get in touch with you. If you do need to get in touch with us, by all means, get in touch. My email address and our email addresses are also on the chat already, so you can get in touch if you do need to. We are very inclusive. We're inclusive both by design and also in terms of our outlook as an organization. So that is about that. I don't know if I've missed any question on the chat. Somebody's asking here, let me see. Not too sure if yeah, so I think I probably have responded to the comments so far. If there are other questions, please, by all means, or other comments, by all means, do make them. And Tony, thank you so much. We'd like to keep in touch with you as well. Isabella, is there anything you want to add from the NECA end?
Okay, so should I, from my comment, just do the closing?
Okay, I think, do you want to respond to Toyin as well in terms of what NECA is doing and inclusivity?
Okay, so he's actually one of our stakeholders. So
is
I
he?
know
Okay.
I know we've had that conversation before, and I told him to bring it to this platform.
I see.
So I think just a background insight into what he's trying to say is that although the network didn't allow him really state it clearly, so he's saying for us as Nigerians, he's trying to critique if we should keep on, even though it's a globally accepted term or terminology, he's critiquing, do we need to say persons with disability? How about there are persons with certain challenges? Because the fact that they can't do something in one side does not mean they are disabled. So that was the first part. And I think the second part is him also trying to say that there are we should be more open-minded in our approaches in terms of how we advocate for them because of some barrier to entries into certain jobs. So you might find that, which goes back to all of the conversations we've been having about recruitment. So basically organizations understanding even if, for instance, I remember in one conversation, he gave an instance that would the military allow someone with a disability come in? Because there's just that notion that you have to be on the field. Meanwhile, you don't necessarily have to be on the field.
Yeah.
You can have someone, a person with a disability who is probably flying a drone or something. So there's that part. And I did not hear him clearly on this one, but he was saying something about entrepreneurship as well, which I think one of the questions also addressed. So that's it. But I know this is an ongoing conversation, and I know it just doesn't end here. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, I think Emanuela was trying to ask a question, how can other organizations who have not yet adapted the inclusive workplace, how can they synthesize this organization and hold them accountable? All right, so like I mentioned, Emanuela, this is a voluntary commitment. This is not mandatory. We're not a government agency. We're not a law enforcement agency. If you look at the framework, so if your details are there, we're going to share the framework with you. If you look at the framework, we're encouraging organizations to be intentional in their policies, processes, and procedures. All right, from recruitment, you heard what Lukman said. All of that barriers, we need to unlock all of them. We need to be more open-minded, knowing fully well that there is an unlocked potential within that community. 2.5 million persons in Lagos alone, that is a huge number, okay? So we want to be open-minded. We don't want to be stereotypic in our outlook. The days of inviting people for interview and just because of the disability, you show them the door in a subtle way, those days should be jettisoned. So, but to be more direct, Emanuela, there are so many tools that we have on the framework. So for instance, we have an access audit tool that we have designed just in case you want to check out your organization to see if it's even inclusive. There's an access audit tool, and that access audit tool is actually very, very useful in terms of checking out how accessible your office is, from entry to lighting, to toilets, to communication equipment and all that stuff. So these are very basic things that don't cost an arm and a leg. All right. So the framework has several other tools that you can also speak to, that you can equally adapt. And if you need to get support for institutionalizing some of these tools in the organization, you can reach out to us at NDIP, and we can implement some of these tools for in your various organizations. What's more, I'm not sure if I've missed out any other question. All right, so I see Manuela is talking about the fact that she runs a job hub for disabled persons based in Lagos. That is good to know. I'm not too sure if Isabella, I'm sure you should have Emanuela's contact. Working in the private sector, this is about the network we're talking about. So opportunities to be able to partner and provide opportunity for persons with disability is what this project is all about. So we look forward to that. So if in the absence of any other question, I think I saw, did I see God's gift hand up, or was that a legacy hand? All right, maybe that
no. It was just to bring it back to Emanuela's question, but you've done
okay.
that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. All right. So let me hand over to Isabella in the absence of any other comment to continue the program. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. We are actually at the end of the program, and I'm just trying to glance through the agenda and turn on my video at the same time. Okay, so yes, we're actually at the end of today's event, which we have the closing, and then of course we'll do a virtual group photograph. So don't leave just yet. I know it's lunchtime and people are already running. So I'll make it brief. And first of all, I really like to appreciate everyone who has made time to be in today's knowledge sharing session. So it's been very rich and engaging, especially because of all that we have discussed and even all of the hard work that has been going on by the various stakeholders. So but I think very importantly is that for us to remember that the conversation doesn't end here. Even after having this engagement, there's so much more that is going to come from, subsequent engagements. And this is also missing to the private sector. So NECA is very big on partnerships that matter, partnerships that drive, sustained growth and also sustainability of enterprises. And this is one way we can do that. So for us, we would continue to engage and ensure that people really see, I think Mrs. Ibekwe had mentioned, and you, Mr. Ben, had mentioned, there are businesses who are already doing quite a lot. So I think our focus should be on those businesses who aren't doing something yet. Many of them want to, but don't know how. And that's why I'm happy for this engagement today, because there's now a framework and there's now a charter to guide people to do that. So thank you to the British Council team. Thank you to the NDIP team for all the hard work that has gone into this entire project and all of the resources that have come out of it. It's very important that we note that these conversations about making our workplaces inclusive is going to be an ongoing conversation and also ongoing commitments that actually requires very deliberate actions and sustained collaboration, because partnership is now like the new oil. So as we move forward, it's very important that we strengthen these partnerships and collaborations. I can see that I see that there's someone on the group who has a magazine that is, focused towards persons with disability. We've gotten comments and feedback about using technology, to even further enhance the kind of work that they do. So there's a lot of conversation that can go in. There's a lot of follow-up actions that we also need to have as well, so that we can see the impact and results that we want to see. So just for us to live here with renewed motivation, and also to our persons with disability, for them to also know that they are not alone. We are all in this together, and we are all champions in one way or the other for inclusive workplaces. So thank you very much once again, everyone, for joining. On behalf of the Director General of NECA, Mr. Adewale Smart Oyerinde, I would like to say thank you. And also on behalf of the British Council, Country Director, if I can do that, that's Ms. Donna McDowan, and of course the NDIP team that is here today, led by Mr. Benovio. We would all like to say thank you, and please, we will be reaching out to you for more engagements and interventions. Thank you, and please do enjoy the rest of your day. So I would, so I'm switching back to moderator mode now. So if we can just turn on our videos so that we can do a very quick group photograph before we leave. So please turn on your videos so we can do a quick photograph. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Kindly turn on your videos so we can do a quick photograph before we run away for lunch. All right.
Virtual lunch, right?
Yes, lunchtime. Almost organizations.
Hello, can you see me?
Yes,
yes, we can.
Okay.
Okay, I'm taking from my end, and I also believe that IT is also taking from their end as well. All right. Thank you all so much.
I will chat you up later.
Sorry, Isabella.
Yes, please. Are you speaking?
No, I said I will chat you up later. I just want to have an observation about those people that I've discussed, that we are not putting in the entrepreneurs. Like Philomena that talked happens to be a student, the other person happens to be maybe civil servant, and then we have the barrister. We need an entrepreneur so that we can share our experiences, how we grow our businesses in case of next time we are talking. And I wouldn't mind, I want to speak as an entrepreneur. Thank you.
All right, madam, no problem at all.
I want to
have your details. Did you registered, right? So we have your details in the back end, but if not, you can quickly drop it in the chat box. And thank you for that. Is very important, because while we're talking about inclusion, we also need to remember the entrepreneurs so that they are also included in this conversation. Absolutely. NECA also has, even though we are organized private sector, we also have an MSME arm, and we also have a platform. We also have another organization that's an affiliate of NECA, that's the NECA's Network of Entrepreneurial Women, and those are women in business. So absolutely, these are conversations we usually have, and we'll be sure to include this next time. Thank you for raising that, madam.
Well, you can just include in the women program as entrepreneurs. I wouldn't mind.
It's all right, no problem. Thank you. All right. Okay, so if you still want to do some networking, that's fine, but I think we are done at this point, so you can log off.
Don't be offended, just to say something. This is Philomena talking.
Hi, Philomena, welcome back.
Yeah, she just said, I'm a student, but I'm an entrepreneur. I only spoke on a particular context today, but I'm an entrepreneur. Yes.
Okay.
I have my business fully registered with CAC, so I'm an entrepreneur.
Philomena, you didn't tell us what you do. When you say you're an entrepreneur, what kind of entrepreneur are you?
Oh, I deal with skincare and hygienic products. My products are known with Deep Love products.
Deep Love brand.
Deep Love. My full name is Deep Love Vision Concept. Deep love is actually the meaning of Philomena. Philomena is a Greek word, which means deeply loved. Yeah.
Okay.
That's nice. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, your Philomena's product, you will not believe. I mean, maybe if we are going to share some insight with NECA, maybe follow you guys or you follow us on Instagram. If you see her product, you will not believe that she is able to manufacture those products. They are brilliant, brilliant products. Household care products made by Philomena is just mind-blowing. Right. So thank you, madam, for highlighting that we are not undermining entrepreneurs. They are at the core because entrepreneurs, they create jobs. First of all, they create jobs for themselves first before they create jobs for other people. So
self-employed.
Self-employment, exactly. Yeah. But we'll keep in touch with you. It's good to Christiana Akirinade, right?
Yes, Akirimade.
Akirimade, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think if your details on the platform, we'll harvest all of that. Thank you.
Okay.
Are you sorry?
Okay,
Do you have any? Do you have any type of disability or?
I'm visually impaired. I'm visually impaired. I'm blind.
Oh, okay, you are. Okay, all right. All right, that's fine. It's good to know that. Thank you so much, Christiana.
Okay.
We'll keep in touch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well done. Isabella, thank you so much for that brilliant anchor. We really appreciate your devotion, your dedication, and your commitment so far to ensuring that the program has made progress to where we are today, from the policy dialogue all the way to this. And this is not the end. This is just the beginning of the partnership. I'm sure there are greater things to come in the future. So we really want to appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Well done.
Very much.
Yeah, well done. Thanks to extend our appreciation to your team at NECA as well, and to every other person here. So yep, I'd like to log off now as well.
Okay.
Yeah, take care, everybody.
We're going out for lunch.
Yeah, virtual lunch. Go and have your lunch, yeah? Yes, I know.
Okay, I would like to meet you one of these days.
No problem. Thank you. We'll surely do, yeah. All right. Thank you, Chris Agbo. Well done. Thank you, Tony. I'm trying to look at, there's a name.
Sir. Well done, sir.
There's a name there. Awolimi. Is it Awoluyi? I can't pronounce that name very well. Awoluyi. All right, Awoluyi. Thank you so much.
Liyi.
Yes, it's sorry. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I couldn't pronounce it. It's very tiny. Yeah, but I can see it clearly now. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you to everybody. Chris.
Thank you for having us.
Touch. Yeah, it's a pleasure. Have a lovely day, and God bless you all. Bye. Yeah.
Right. Bye.
Bye for now.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.